Bruchim haba and welcome everyone to a special edition of All Parsha on Parshas Mikeitz, the Ramban on Parshas Mikeitz. This Ramban is one of the very fundamental pieces on Sefer Bereshis. It's a necessary approach to understand Yosef's conduct in Mitzrayim, because in general, one could ask, how could Yosef keep his father in suspense, in pain? Yosef was alive. Why doesn't he send a letter to Yaakov? Yaakov, don't worry, don't sweat it, I'm alive. They sold me down to Mitzrayim, everything's okay. Yosef doesn't do that. Instead, it seems like he's dragging this out, and it seems like whatever he could do to inflict pain on his brothers, he is. And in fact, the Radak learns that some of the activities of Yosef were to inflict pain on his brothers. But even if that is understandable, but why is he keeping his father in such suspense? And he imprisons Shimon and he imprisons Binyamin. And in the context of these encounters, the pasuk says in Parak Mem Beis, pasuk Tes, Vayizkar Yosef es hachaloimos asher cholam lahem. Yosef remembered the dreams that he dreamt about them. Vayomer aleim, and he says, Semeraglamatăm, your spies, lerois es arvas haaretz basam. You came to see the shame of the land. And the Ramban begins in pasuk Tes by citing Rashi. What does it mean? He dreamt to them. Says Ramban, Aleihem, upon them. Meaning, not the dreams that he dreamt to them, but about them. Quoting Rashi, V'yadash shenaskaimu. And here, Yosef sees that his dreams are being fulfilled. He dreamt that his brothers would bow down to him. And here, when the brothers encounter him, they in fact bow down to him. Sharei ishtachav aloi. They in fact bow down to him. Lashon Rashi. This is the language of Rashi. Says Ramban, Ulafidati, in my opinion, Shahadavar behepach, it's the exact opposite. Not that Yosef saw the dreams were fulfilled, he sees the dreams were not yet fulfilled. Ki yoimar HaKosov, the pasuk is saying, Ki berois Yosef es echav mishtachvim lai, when Yosef sees most of the brothers bowing to him, Zachar kol hachaloim es asher cholam lahem, he remembered both dreams. V'yadash le'niskayim echad mehem b'pam hazois, and he realized that one of the dreams was not fulfilled at this time. Meaning, he realized none of the dreams were fulfilled. Not even one of them were fulfilled. Certainly, Yaakov is not here, and his Bilhah is not here, and the Imais are not here, but even all the brothers are not here. Ki yoidea b'pisroinam, he understood that the interpretation of the dream was Ki chal echav yishtachavu lai betchila, that all the brothers would bow down to him. Where did Yosef see that? Min hachaloim harishain, from the very first dream. In the first dream, the Torah reports, V'hinei anachnu ma'alamim alamim. He turns to all the brothers and he says, we were bundling bundles. Ki anachnu yemros l'chalechav. The word anachnu refers to all the brothers. Achad asar, 11. Upam shenis, and the second time, Yishtachavu loy hashemesh, the sun would bow to him, Hayarech, and the moon, the Achad asar koichavim, and the 11 stars, Menachaloim hasheni. Is Binyamin here bowing down to him? Binyamin's not down here in Mitzrayim. B'kimin shalei ra Binyamin imam, since he didn't see Binyamin with them. Chashav zois hatachbula, he thought of this machination and trick, sheya'alil aleim, to come up with a pretext against them, kidei sheyaviu gam Binyamin achavei love, so that they would bring Binyamin down, and now Binyamin would bow down, and at least the first dream would be fulfilled. L'kaim hachalam harishon tchila, to first fulfill the first dream that all the brothers would bow down, and then Yaakov would come down and bow to him as well. That's the reason why from the beginning Yosef didn't just say, Ani Yosef achichem, I'm Yosef your brothers. Why didn't Yosef just tell them, I'm Yosef your brothers, your brother? And to say, Ma'ruv alos elavi, quickly bring up Dad. V'yishlachu agolois, and let him and send the wagons. Kasher also b'pam hashniya, like he did the second time. Because he knew his father would come immediately. And he can't have his father come immediately, because first he has to fulfill the first dream that all the brothers bow down, and then he could fulfill the second dream that Yaakov and the mothers also bow down. And after the first dream was fulfilled, higid lohem l'kayim hachalam hasheni. He's relating to them to fulfill the second dream. Meaning, after the first dream is fulfilled, then he reveals himself, and then they all come to bow down to him. But v'lulei kain. But if it were not for this, if not that Yosef had this cheshbon, that he has to first try to bring to fruition the fulfillment of the first dream, Haya Yosef chayte ched gadol letzaras avav. Yosef would have been reckoned a great sinner for causing his father distress. Ulahamido yomim rabim, to keep him for so many days, bishchoil, bereft of his son, ve'evel, and mourning al Shimon, for the loss of Shimon, where Shimon's incarcerated, va'alav, for him. So, and even if you want to say, says Ramban, that Yosef wanted to cause the brother some pain, because after all, after everything they did to him, and in fact the Radak learns that some of the activities of Yosef were to cause some stress to the brothers. Even if he wanted to pain the brothers a little bit, how could he not have some mercy on the old age of his father? All of this Yosef did appropriately in its correct time, l'kayim hachalomis, to fulfill the dreams, ki yada sheyiskaimu be'emes, because he knew they would definitely be fulfilled. The Chassam Sofer, in Chassam Sofer al Torah, he's still bothered. Was Yosef allowed to cause so much pain to his brothers and to his father, and to cause his father so much tsar, to the extent that Yaakov Avinu lost Ruach HaKodesh? He should have sent the word right away to his father, I'm alive. What is it up to Yosef to control the affairs of this world? Why is Yosef, so to speak, meddling in the affairs of heaven? If God wants his dreams to be fulfilled, God will figure out a way to have the dreams fulfilled. Yosef's responsibility is to honor his father, not to cause his father distress. But the Mefarshim explain, look in the Aderes Eliyahu of the Gra, the Nachlas Yaakov of the Nesivos, that these dreams were not ordinary dreams, these dreams were prophecy. And if someone has prophecy, not only can they not hold it within, but they have to do whatever is in their capacity to ensure the prophecy comes to fruition. The Ramban then is bothered, well, now that all the brothers came down, including Binyamin, to bow down to him, why did Yosef frame Binyamin with the goblet? What's the reason for that whole episode? Now all the brothers bow to him, so now let him reveal himself that I'm Yosef, and go get dad, and he'll come down and bow to me as well. Why is he framing Yosef with the gavia? Says Ramban, Gam ha'inyan hasheni, also the second activity, sha'asalam b'gavia, that Yosef did with the goblet. Lo yishatir kavanas l'tzaram. This was not Yosef's plan to cause them distress. It's just that Yosef didn't trust them. Yosef thought that if they would now go back with Binyamin, maybe the sale of the Mechira would come up, and they would bear animosity against Binyamin, and they would harm him. Aval Chashad, he suspected, Ula yesham sina b'Binyamin. Maybe they have hatred to Binyamin. Sheikanu Isai, maybe they're jealous of him. Ba'ahavas aviyam b'kinasam bay. Maybe they're jealous of him because Yaakov had extra love for Binyamin, like they were jealous of Yosef. Or maybe Yosef thought Binyamin finally realized that they were the ones who sold Yosef, and Binyamin was in a fight with them, and maybe they would harm him, and there was some kind of animosity between them. And therefore Yosef did not want Binyamin to travel back with them, so he framed Binyamin to keep Binyamin with him to protect Binyamin. He didn't want Binyamin to go with them. Lest Binyamin lest they harm Binyamin. Until they tested them. That in other words, if once Yosef incarcerated Binyamin, if they would just say, okay, just keep him, then Yosef would realize that in fact there is animosity and he did the right thing. But if they would sort of fight for Binyamin and risk their lives for Binyamin, then Yosef would see that in fact they had second thoughts, and they regretted what they did to Yosef. Lazen iskavnu by Rabbi Sin Parshas Rabbah. This was the kavana of what Chazal say in the Medrash. Amar Reb Chia b'Rabbi Abba. Reb Chia b'Rabbi Abba said, Kol hadvarim she'atakari she'diber Yehuda b'fnei Echav. All the words that we read that Yehuda spoke before his brothers, ad sha'ata magia, until you get up to v'lo yachal Yosef lehisapek, that Yosef cannot restrain himself. Haya boy pius leYosef. This was reconciliation to Yosef. Pius le'echav, words of conciliation to his brothers. Pius leBinyamin, conciliation to Benjamin. Pius leYosef. Ra heich noisin avsha b'nei sharacha. Yosef sees how they're willing to, their sacrifice for the children of Rachel, and now Yosef could feel comfortable that they would take care of Binyamin on the way back. Says the Ramban, V'chein ani omer, likewise I say, Shekol ha'inyanim ha'ela, all of these subjects, hayu b'Yosef, Yosef had, mechachmasai, b'pisrain hachaloimos, in his wisdom of interpreting the dreams. Ki yesh l'tmaya, because you could wonder. Meaning, says Ramban, all of Yosef's activities were not trying to cause the brother pain. They all could be explained because Yosef was trying to facilitate the fruition of the dreams. Because otherwise you could ask, after Yosef stood in Egypt for so many days, he was an officer, a prince, in the house of such a great minister in Egypt. How could it be he didn't send one letter to his father to let him know, to console him? Egypt's only about 6-day travel to Hebron. How long would a letter take? It would only take 6 days for the letter to get to Yaakov. And even if it was a travel of a year, he should have honored his father and sent the messenger to tell his father he's all right. He should have let his father know for his own honor, for the honor of his father. It would have been precious, the redemption of his soul. Yaakov would have redeemed him for all the money in the world. So why didn't Yosef send a simple letter? Dad, I'm okay, and maybe try to get me out of here. And the answer is Yosef felt bound by the dreams, that he had to bring the dream to fruition. Yosef saw the bowing of the brothers to him, v'gam aviv, and also his father, v'chol zara ite, and all of his father's descendants. That would never be in Canaan. In other words, if Yosef was released and freed from prison, it would never happen that the brothers and that Yaakov would bow to him in the land of Canaan. He hoped and he anticipated that it would occur in Egypt because he saw the unusual and supernatural success he was rising to. When he saw his great success. And certainly, after he saw the dream of Paroi, when he saw the dream of Paroi, that there would be famine in Egypt, and he realized how that would bring all his brothers down to Egypt, he saw, it was clear to him that they would all come there, and all his dreams would be fulfilled. So the Ramban learns that Yosef was compelled to bring these dreams to fruition, considering these dreams a form of prophecy. As our Chaim HaKadosh points out, by all the details of the dream of Yosef, it says, V'hinei anachnu ma'alamim alumim, v'hinei kam alumasi. The word hinei means definitive vision, a vision of prophecy. And since this was Nevuah, Yosef felt compelled to bring the fruition of the dream to the light of day. This is the incredible approach of Ramban to the episode of the Mechiras Yosef. And ultimately, not only was the first dream fulfilled, but in Parshas Vayigash, Yaakov too comes down to Mitzrayim, and then the second dream and prophecy of Yosef also comes to fruition. Shaloi Yashuv Davar Echad Midvarecha Achar Rekam. None of the words of prophecy of the Rebbeinu Shalom ever are turned back empty-handed. They all come to their ultimate fruition. Wishing everyone a wonderful rest of the week, and Shabbos, Chanukah, Parshas Mikeitz, Haba Aleinu L'Taiva.